This video is sponsored by The Walking Dead Match 3 Tales, but more on that in just a moment.
It takes a lot of ingredients to make a good video game, but many might argue that the most important is the gameplay. Elements like the storyline, art direction, music, and graphical fidelity all of course play a big part in the flavoring, but at its core, a game needs to wow its audience with mechanics they enjoy. Unfortunately, not every game manages to find an audience, and that means that some genius mechanics fly under the radar. Well, no more. WhatCulture Gaming is here to do our bit to make sure these games get their due. I'm Ewan, and here are 10 criminally overlooked gameplay mechanics. Number 10. Sound-based gameplay. In silence. The use of microphones in gaming usually goes hand in hand with getting screamed at by salty players or gloating after beating your mates. Or, if you're playing as a medic in Hell Let Loose, getting to listen to the anguished screams of your comrades as they commit fully to the bit before being turned into goop before your very eyes. What a community. But, tragically, I am not here to talk about Hell Let Loose. Boo, I know. I'm actually here to shout out In Silence. This 2020 multiplayer indie horror revolves around proximity chat. You and your friends have to stay as silent as possible while you work together to escape or fight a terrifying monster inspired by the Rake creepypasta. If you've got loud friends, well, tough luck, buddy. You really don't want them on your team. One lucky player also gets to take on the role of the villainous beastie, who must hunt down their human prey with limited eyesight. The best way to find them is through headphones, keeping an ear out for chatting, whispering, or any sort of noise that may hint at their location. The human players can manipulate this system themselves by setting off radios, TVs, or other devices to distract the monster. Number 9. Only playable in one sitting. Paratopic. Even the hardest of games allow players the chance to save their progress. This means you can take a break, calm down, and maybe even buy a new controller after breaking the last one during your 100th attempt to beat Melania, Goddess of Rot. This is a judgment-free zone, I totally get it. But Paratopic, a unique indie title, said no to that luxury, forcing you into a whole new type of gaming experience. Paratopic is a bizarre and obtuse game that throws abstract storytelling and gameplay your way, but one of its most fascinating features is that you have to play it in one sitting. Yep, the game doesn't feature a save system, with the roughly 45-minute title forcing you to treat it like an episode of your favorite show. You put it on and play with no distractions. It's that, or you don't play it at all.
Calling all Walking Dead fans. This video is brought to you by The Walking Dead Match 3 Tales out now. A new puzzle RPG for iOS and Android directly based on the critically acclaimed comic book series The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead Match 3 Tales is the first puzzle game based on The Walking Dead IP, delivering immersive storytelling through cutscenes, a gorgeous art style, and intense tactile gameplay. With voice acting, rewarding progression, upgradable skills, base building, and battles. Collect all your favorite characters from The Walking Dead and get immersed in reliving that incredible original comic book run. The game looks great with a wonderful balance between colourful tile matching and gruesome walker kills when you pull off each character's special move. Best of all, you can use the friend invite system to unlock in-game items like VIP tickets, gold bars, and instant progression buffs, putting you and 3 or more friends in the draw to win a real iPad mini, AirPods, or more in-game rewards until November 25th. Check the link in the description and solve to survive with The Walking Dead Match 3 Tales.
Number 8. The drawbacks of Specialized Levelling. Disco Elysium. Those who have played Disco Elysium often give it credit for being one of the most well-written, yet chaotic role-playing experiences out there. You'll find no arguments here, as the game deserves its illustrious reputation. One feature that captures its cleverness and twisted psychology is how the protagonist's warped mind manifests in the gameplay. As with many RPG games, you might feel the urge to pour all your energy into one of your character's skill tree options. This is usually a smart choice, as you can specialize in a reliable trait that carries you throughout the game. But if you do this in Disco Elysium, you'll end up fighting a losing battle, as the lead detective's own sanity will wrestle itself out from under you. The more you rely on one branch of your skills, categorized as intellect, psyche, physique, and motorics, the more that part of your brain will take over. Soon, that aspect of your psychology will struggle against you, acting out without permission and introducing chaos into your playthrough. Number 7. Real-time healing. X-Men Origins Wolverine. One of the biggest immersion breakers in modern gaming is the role of healing. How is it that you can play an FPS and get riddled with bullets only for the main consequence to be a bit of jelly going in your eyes? It's almost like every character in games with regenerating health has the power of Marvel's Wolverine. And well, the legendary character seemed to note this as he said, "Hold my beer," and did it himself. 2009's X-Men Origins Wolverine is one of those unique video game adaptations that outdid its cinematic source material. Although that was pretty easy given, well, it had this to work with. Getting the chance to hack and slash as the iconic Logan felt amazing, and what helped to sell it was the character's real-time healing mechanic. Developed by gone but not forgotten Activision studio Raven Software, who, while now saddled under the Call of Duty license, used to make some seriously banging Marvel games back in the day. I'll rescue you, my sweet, just as soon as I procure about 200 feet of rope, a plunger, about 3 pounds of pocket sand, yeah, and one of those screaming chickens. That'll do it. Origins Wolverine went into immense gory detail in its gameplay, with the titular hero getting torn to shreds the more damage you took. Of course, he would eventually heal back up, which you could watch in full. This mechanic delivered a spectacularly gruesome depiction of what immortality can buy you. Number 6. Creating art. Eastshade. Players will often picture a weapon in their hands when thinking of open world titles. And this isn't an unfair leap, as almost every game in the medium follows a formula full of combat and action. Still, there are experiences out there that pull back on that aggression, and the criminally overlooked Eastshade is one of them. The game is a sequel to the short title Leaving Lindo, and it lets you play as a traveling painter who explores the titular island. Discovery and beauty are at the forefront of this unique title as you look around the land for scenes you want to put onto the canvas. Throughout the game, you use the painting mechanic to draw pictures, which you can then use to gain knowledge or items from NPCs. Players who fancy a change of pace after racking up kill streaks and grinding for lots of new armor sets will find everything they want in the peaceful gameplay of this underrated gem. Number 5. Gravity Manipulation. Gravity Rush. If you ever encounter a person in the street who screams out conspiracy theories and claims that gravity is weighing humanity down, then the good news is that you can show them a world where it doesn't. Of course, that world is a video game, and that anti-gravitational sentiment is simply an underrated mechanic. Gravity Rush is an action-adventure game for the PS Vita that puts you in the very light shoes of a young girl who can manipulate gravity. If that mechanic sounds fun, then, well, you're right on the money, because it definitely is. The gravity manipulation mechanic in this game allows you to switch the force off, flinging yourself around the map and soaring through the skies. It's the kind of open world navigation that's so addictive you'll never even consider using fast travel again. You can use it to roam around the environment, solve puzzles, and produce creative combat attacks, providing hours of fun at the expense of good old Sir Isaac Newton. Number 4. Gardening-based platforming. The Gardener and the Wild Vines. In The Gardener and the Wild Vines, you play as a gardener, no surprises there, who sets out on a journey to rescue their beloved prince. To do so, you scale towers with a deeply creative platforming system that sees you cutting flowers with your shears to create branching vines. These vines produce leaves you can bounce on, carrying you further to more flowers. You'll encounter more and more challenges as you play on, but the one thing that won't change within the roughly 3 to 4 hour runtime is the satisfying feeling of mixing platforming with shearing. This is a cute, creative, and inspired narrative platformer that is certainly deserving of more attention. Number 3. Deck building turn-based combat. Marvel's Midnight Suns. This tactical role-playing game from Firaxis Games, the developer known for Civilization and XCOM, boasts an impressive roster full of some of the most popular Marvel characters going. On top of that is an excellent combat system that combines the developer's signature turn-based gameplay with deck-building mechanics. This creates a wholly unique system for battling that feels like a healthy combination of XCOM and Marvel Snap. Each mission sees the player bring 3 characters into battle. These heroes are dealt with 8 customizable cards that grant them attacks and abilities. They are then placed into a deck and drawn per round, making for unique builds, strong strategy plays, and an element of unpredictability. Despite racking up a decent critical response though, Marvel's Midnight Suns sadly fell victim to low sales, meaning not many people got to appreciate the brilliant combat on offer. Number 2. The Nemesis system, Middle-earth, Shadow of Mordor. Enemies in video games are usually tailor-made by the developers. This often works great as well-crafted, memorable villains leave nothing for players to complain about. But what if there was a system where every player got to forge their own path with unique rivals and recurring characters? Oh, wait, there is. Middle-earth, Shadow of Mordor and its sequel, Shadow of War, drummed up considerable buzz for its take on J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings mythos and for its incredible Nemesis system. This unique gameplay mechanic allowed you to run into procedurally generated orcs and goblins. This led to the creation of plenty of unique characters, as your choices, failings, and wins would make considerable marks on the enemies you faced. Sadly though, the Nemesis system has gone nowhere. There should be a whole boatload of AAA projects using this mechanic, and yet you won't even use up all your fingers when you count them on your hand. This isn't even a matter of missed opportunity by creators, as the finger of blame can be pointed firmly at WB Interactive. Warner Brothers has patented the system until 2035, meaning no other studio can use it for over a decade.
Looks like corporate greed's back on the menu.
And number 1, Interrogations, The Punisher. Marvel might have a reputation for being a mostly fun-loving superhero franchise with bright colors and charming characters, but there's a seedy underbelly beneath the costumes and one-liners. Frank Castle, otherwise known as the Punisher, takes up at least 20% of this dark side, and his 2005 video game exemplifies that in plenty of different ways. This action-packed title puts you in the shoes of the titular vigilante as he murders his way through waves of criminals and meets up with popular Marvel characters. Violence is a mainstay in the game, giving you plenty of weapons to mow down your enemies with, but it goes one step further by allowing you to interrogate them in brutal fashion. And no, I'm not talking about tickle torture. This game gives you an absurd array of techniques to squeeze information out of your victims. You can take enemies to interrogation hotspots such as buzzsaws, piranha tanks, hanging knife displays, and more. After getting your information, you can even finish the job off with vulgar executions. These sequences were so brutal that the game was forced to render them in black and white to avoid an adults-only rating from the ESRB. Some games, such as Splinter Cell Conviction, have implemented similar interrogation features, but nothing has managed to ever go this far since. And there you have it, 10 criminally overlooked gameplay mechanics. Are there any other gameplay features out there you feel never got their due? Shout them out down in the comments below and we'll maybe spotlight them in a follow-up list. Either way, thank you all for watching, drop us a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe if you fancy more. I've been Ewan, this has been WhatCulture Gaming, and if you'll excuse me, it's time for me to get heisting.